So apparently my parents talk about a lot of heavy stuff on their podcast. Listen at your own discretion. Like, comment, subscribe, and share or whatever. Anyways, welcome to Sober At.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan. This is Jess. We are sober as fuck. Before we get to today's guest, I do want to remind everybody, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, all the things on all the platforms that you can find us on. And
most importantly, you can find us on our own website.
That's right.
safpodcast.com.
safpodcast.com.
That is Samuel Apple Fuck podcast.com.
There you go. All the things, monthly challenges, merch like Jess is wearing today,
which I wear every week.
Well, if you steal mine every week.
I made it.
But you took mine.
But I made it. I'm the creator. I can do what I want.
You can do what you want.
I do what I want.
Also, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, there is a link on the website. Again, safpodcast.com. Just fill the information out and we'll check it out.
Or you can message us on Instagram and say, "Hey, idiot, I want to be on your podcast."
Be on your podcast.
And we'll go, "Okay. When do you want to meet?"
That's right. So you just got back from a little trip over the weekend?
Dallas. I did.
Yes.
I did get back from Dallas. It was a lot of fun. And I'm not going to say anything right now, but I got some very exciting news that has nothing to do with the podcast. Okay. I'm not going to become rich and famous. It's not anything.
Darn it.
I don't have a book deal. I'm not going to become a supermodel. That's not,
Shit.
But it's a personal family thing that is very exciting. And I will eventually reveal it, but it's not mine to tell,
awesome.
Right? It's not mine to tell.
Yeah.
But I went down there and spent the weekend with my brother and, he has a new partner and I spent time with his partner's family and they're just the best. And they all speak Spanish fluently. So I went in there and I was telling them to only speak Spanish to me, right? And so they were ragging on him. They're like, "Your sister speaks better Spanish than you, John." And then his boyfriend's like, "He doesn't even try." And I looked at him and I was like, "Are you insane?" So it was it was fun. They had it was my brother's birthday. And so they had a banner that said "Happy Birthday, John." And they had a huge balloon arch and they got a cake. And I mean, it was great. It was kind of like what we do in the summer, they're
Right.
grilling out. They had music playing. There were kids running around. It's
pretty cool.
I want to go back. I'm leaving. I told him, I said, "Do you think my family will be mad if I was just psych, I'm not coming back?"
Stay down.
He's
there.
"I think they'd be pretty pissed."
A little bit.
Whatever.
Especially our daughter.
Yeah. And he'll come visit us this summer. And it was just, it was fun. And flying has been this huge mountain that I've had to climb.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah,
I
I was really proud of you for flying.
Yeah, so
down there by
I've
yourself.
flown my entire life. I've flown internationally, and then I had Lily, and when she was around 5 or 6 years old, or maybe even 8 or something like that, I developed this debilitating flight anxiety, bad, to the point that
It was
I'd
rough.
have panic attacks, and we would literally cancel trips.
Yep.
So long story short, I remember crying to my nurse practitioner and being "I just want to be able to get on a fucking plane." And I flew to Dallas this weekend all by myself and it was fantastic. So
Proud
yay
of you.
me. That,
Congratulations.
and I'll be 2 years sober in June. I'm fucking
Shit's
amazing.
piling up, man.
I don't know if anybody's told you, but your wife is pretty hot and she's pretty amazing. So not to brag, but I'm
Yeah.
awesome. No, I'm just really proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too. That's awesome.
It's a really good accomplishment.
Yep.
And speaking of accomplishments, our guest is almost 3 years sober. She has a soberversary coming up too.
Almost 3.5 years sober. Yeah, which is pretty awesome. I've been following Kristen for quite a while on Instagram. Her handle is Mocktails and Marathons.
I love that.
You got to go check her out. What I love about Kristen is everything she posts, stuff it's very raw, very real.
Mm-hmm.
She is a sober coach. She does one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. And I can't wait for everybody to hear her story.
I can't wait to hear
awesome. It. Let's please welcome to the show, Kristen Beckett.
Hello.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi.
Hey.
Good
to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing really good. Doing really good. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm always adjusting and fixing because he doesn't know what he's doing.
I don't know what I'm
All the
doing.
things.
I always say I'm the idiot with the microphone. I just show
Yeah.
up and talk.
Not to
Hey,
tease everybody who's
someone's gotta
listening,
do
but
it, right?
yeah, when we're done filming, I'll tell you the big happy news. Okay, I won't leave you wondering. You get the skinny.
Fantastic. I had things in my brain. I was like, oh, I wonder if it's this. I wonder if it's this. I wonder if it's this. So
I'll tell you, but the world cannot know yet.
That's right.
perfect.
Just Kristen. Just Kristen.
Me. No, I'm excited.
Well, Kristen, thank you so much for coming on the show. Before we get to your story, which I can't wait for everybody to hear about, give us a little bit of background of what you're doing now, where everybody can find you, and all the good stuff.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here today. So Mocktails and Marathons is where you can find me on Instagram. Like you said, it's a lot of raw and real because I felt like that wasn't something when I was trying to get sober that I saw a lot of. It was a lot of, yes, sobriety is great. And it really is. But God, it's hard sometimes. And it's like very intense and very deep. And it's not all these rainbows and butterflies, especially at the beginning. So that was kind of where I came from in starting. And kind of along that journey, you said, I'm coming up on 3.5 years sober here. I've just really dove into this and learned to love this life of sobriety. And if you would have told me this 4 years ago, I would have probably laughed in your face and said, there is absolutely no way in hell that I would be somebody who would be promoting sobriety or coaching sobriety. And so, yes, right now I do one-on-one coaching I work with some amazing women on this journey. I do some group coaching as well. And then I also do, because this was something that I needed when I was sober, just kind of like an email starter coaching kit for those who aren't quite ready to take the leap, but need some foundation, because I think it's so hard to get that foundation below you of kind of where to start and what to do. And like, what is a trigger that I have and why am I drinking in the first place? So all of that though is available on mocktailsandmarathons.com, and that's where everything is located.
I love it.
That's awesome. And we'll plug it here too. I love the idea of a starter kit because it feels very daunting at first. You know, that's the whole thing about it is community is so important because you feel so alone. You know, you do the whole why. And we always tell people, like, there are millions of other people out there who are feeling the same way, but to think it and to talk about it, especially with a stranger and coaching, it's scary. You know, it's very scary. So I love that. I love that you have like a starter program where you're like, if you're not ready to like speak it out loud, just, you know, get comfortable with it.
Ease into it.
Yeah, swim in the water a little. I love that.
And you bring up such a good point too, just about the community aspect of things. And like, I think one of the you feel so alone and all of this at the beginning when you're going through that struggle. And I think that that's like the biggest thing that people need to hear is the amount of women that message me and talk about how they're struggling. And it's not just that you are not the only person struggling with this. There are so many people that are trying to deal with that and deal with like their relationship with alcohol. And I think that's so important for people to know is it's not just you. It's a problem. There's a lot of people struggling with it, and
Millions.
Yes.
I've learned that too on the podcast. Like, it's not just like, oh, there's like a handful of people. No, like it is millions.
Right.
And the more you talk about it, the more other people are like, oh my God, I thought I was crazy. I didn't think any, because some of the thoughts you have that you never really say out loud, you're like, I am really fucked up. Like my brain. No, you're not. You don't really have control over your thoughts. It's okay. We're all, what is
We're
it?
all fucked up, right?
We all go, it's like in this first Scream movie, we all go a little crazy sometimes, you know, like, but it's true. It's so true.
Yes, absolutely.
So Kristen, before you became sober, so give us some details on who you used to be before sobriety and what kind of changed your relationship with alcohol.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a very heavy drinking area. We have rules that you can take like kids to a bar and you can just go sit there with your parents. And it's like just part of the community, part of the culture. And that's what we did. I fully embraced that. And growing up, it was always like, social events had drinks, like sitting around the pool in the summertime, kids' birthday parties, like kids, baptisms, everything had drinking around it. So it was just a very normal thing for me. And I grew up like, I had a great childhood. I had, everything I could ever want, but alcohol was always just around me. And I just felt like it was just such a normal thing. And, that's kind of how I grew up, what I grew up to know, what I came to know, and just kind of what I modeled too. I had my first drink in high school, and it wasn't like this amazing moment or anything like that. We took gin from one of my friends' dad's alcohol cabinets, and it was cheap. It was disgusting. And I was like, oh, so I didn't have one of those moments of, oh, alcohol is solving all of my problems. This is it. This is my thing. It was like a take it or leave it kind of thing for me. And that lasted for probably a couple months. And then I also drank again in high school and had my first blackout. And that was kind of an indication of what my drinking would look like from then on. But it was still kind of like a progressive thing along the lines of like, I had friends that were doing it too, and friends that had blacked out. So it seemed still like a very normal thing. And I never thought twice about it. I went to college. I went to a big Big Ten party school and had a blast in college. And again, everything was very normalized. Like Thursday through Saturday, it was just that ritual of going out with your friends. I graduated in 2009, and that was a time when like it was this huge ritual. You went out every night. Like, again, that was just what you did. So I was never concerned about my drinking by any means in my younger years. I was never like, oh, maybe you're drinking too much. Looking back on it now, it was probably like, yeah, I probably blacked out more than a lot of my friends did. Or I put myself in situations where, like, looking back as a mom now, I'm like, oh my God, I hope my daughter doesn't do any of this stuff. But, I think you live and learn. And again, it was just such a normal experience, what I thought was a normal experience for me. So graduated from college, it never affected my grades or anything like that. I got a job. I work in fundraising or I work in fundraising now. So there was a lot of social events around that and things like that. After college, I met my husband, and he wasn't a huge drinker when we met, but it just became part of like who we were and what we did. And everything kind of started revolving around on the weekends. Let's have a glass of wine or a beer or whatever the case may be. And we, proceeded into what was a very normalized life and hanging out with neighbors. We were those people who, Midwest garage parties and hanging out on the driveway. And we had a great group of friends around our neighborhood and things like that. So I think that's like my biggest thing leading up. Everything felt so normal until it didn't. After my husband and I got married, we got pregnant pretty quickly. And I had a very easy very easy pregnancy with my daughter. I never questioned like drinking during my pregnancy or anything like that. But I had a very difficult delivery with her. And I ended up having lots of complications, and they had to do a hysterectomy on me. So it led to the fact that I couldn't have any more children after that. And that's where I really, really started to struggle. I was somebody who was convinced that I told myself I was going to have 5 kids. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I had this whole identity built up for myself. And all of a sudden that kind of came crashing down. And after I had my daughter, I was in a coma for a while. I woke up and realized that, this whole thing had kind of changed for me. And I dealt with a lot of postpartum anxiety and depression. And I spoke with doctors about this. And a lot of it was just kind of put up to the fact that you're a new mom, you're going through all these changes, your hormones are all over the place and things like that. So like, let's ride it out. Let's see what happens. And how I coped with that was drinking, because that was always my drink. That was always my strategy. That was always my coping mechanism on how to make things feel better. And I had this kind of visual in my head of like, okay, I have 1 kid now. I know I can only have 1 kid. Like, I need to be this perfect mother because this is my only chance that I have at this. And I think I am the poster child for how things just progress as you drink alcohol. As far as, it started out with like, I was coping to drink with some of those feelings of postpartum depression, and that got progressively worse and worse and worse. And it went from a couple glasses of wine, when she was little, to drinking so much that I wasn't able to kind of bounce back the next day. And I wanted to be a good mom. So all of a sudden it was, instead of putting coffee in my coffee mug, I remember vividly the first morning that I decided to put wine in my coffee mug just to see if this would help me. And I remember that moment of like it bringing me back to life as soon as I started drinking in the morning. And that became a new routine for me, that drinking wine in the morning to kind of just get me back into the swing of things and be that good mom that I wanted to be. And then again, kind of that progressed to wine was not enough for me anymore. And it was hiding vodka in my closet so that I could sneak some throughout the day. And it just kept going and going and going. And throughout this, I was, of course in my head, I knew that it was normal, that I probably shouldn't be taking pulls out of a vodka bottle in my closet and sitting there, that's not normal. But it was just so justifiable because I was still so high functioning and I considered myself a good mom. I considered myself, I had a great job. I had a great family. We had, a house. We took the vacations. We did all of the things. I checked all of the boxes, but there was this thing that I was doing in secret that just wasn't quite making sense for me. And it got to a point where I wasn't an everyday drinker, but once I started drinking on the weekends, like I would come home at 5:00 on Friday night and I would start drinking and it would be all the way through till Sunday, sometimes Monday mornings. And I just couldn't figure out how to stop that cycle. So kind of moving forward, COVID hit. My daughter was about 5 at that time. COVID, I feel like across the board was just, of course, a very hard time for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And I think so many people that I talked to, like, my drinking really ramped up during COVID. I had no structure. I had no routine. I didn't have that break in there of, I have to go to work because we were all at home. And I was trying to homeschool a 5K-er, trying to teach her how to use a computer. And it was like, this is not working. And so I started drinking, during the day at that time. And it got to a point where it leveled out. I figured out a routine a little bit more throughout that time, but I was just drinking more and more to get to that buzz that I really wanted to get to. Kind of fast forward a little bit through there, still drinking a lot. My husband and I had gone away just on a quick trip up north for the weekend. And it was us coming home and me feeling like absolute crap again. So I called into work and said that I was sick and just kind of used that excuse to continue to drink throughout the day. And for some reason I had taken shots of Fireball that day and my husband came home to find me. Yes, I know.
Sorry, that just made my chest burn a little bit. Sorry.
I know.
Flashback moment.
We all have those, right?
The thought of that, it just came into my mouth. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. I know. It seemed like a really good idea.
No, I used to be able to drink like almost a whole bottle of Fireball. So there's no judgment there.
No.
There's no judgment.
I'm normally I was a vodka girl through and through. I was a wine girl, and Fireball just, I guess that day put me over the edge because my husband came home that day and found me passed out, and he ended up having to take me to the emergency room because it was like he couldn't wake me up. He couldn't get me to function. And I think that was the moment that it all started to kind of crumble for me. Of course, I realized like, okay, I've got a problem here. Now everyone else around me was realizing that I was struggling and that I was having a problem. Nobody knew what to do. And the scariest part for me, like I was in the emergency room. I don't remember much of the emergency room. I have bits and pieces of flashes remembering that I was there, but I woke up the next morning downstairs in my basement, like on the couch in that like first when you wake up moment. And I was like, oh my God, I think I was at the emergency room last night. But the first thing that I did was like, do I have any Fireball left? Can I get any alcohol? What do I need to do? Because it was early morning. I couldn't talk to anyone yet. I couldn't like figure out a plan or anything like that yet. And it was discussed at that point with my husband and my family that, I would try and do some treatment at that point. So I went, my mom drove me. I was crying the whole time. My mom drove me to just a treatment facility where they had some walk-in appointments available. So I walked in there hoping that something would be available. My mom was with me and we walked in there that day, did all the evaluations and things like that. And of course got diagnosed with alcohol use disorder at that point. And they kind of went through my options of everything. Being a mom and somebody who was working full time, there was no part of me who was like, oh yeah, I can do outpatient treatment or inpatient treatment. Like that just wasn't on the table for me. I didn't couldn't wrap my head around like having to tell people that I, had to take a leave from work, or that my husband would have to deal with my child or something like that the whole time. So that wasn't an option. So I decided to go the route of just some counseling, and they gave me a prescription for naltrexone, and that was our plan and how we were going to work through it. It felt like I was going to be babysat by my husband and my parents to kind of like keep me away from alcohol. And that was going to be our plan. But I walked out of that facility that day. I remember after the first time, like, mad at myself because I didn't hide it good enough and that I didn't moderate enough for myself. And I walked out of there knowing that like, this wasn't it. I was going to drink again. I just had to figure out a way to do it better. And I had to figure out how I was going to hide it better. And I felt bad that I was dragging my family through this, but I was like, okay, if I can do this for like 6 weeks, a couple months, like I can fool them, and then I can go back to hiding it again, and then it'll be fine. And that's what I did. I did like 6 weeks of being really good and being able to not drink. And then I went to Target and bought a bottle of vodka and drank again. And I hit it good. So I had in my brain this idea that, okay, like I've got this, like I can do this. This is great. And I was lying to my, the counselor there. And I just wasn't being honest about the whole thing because I just didn't, like, there was no part of me that was ready to be done yet at that point. So continuing along with kind of the progression of everything, it got worse and it got worse and it got worse. And people knew that I had slipped. I hadn't fully admitted that I had slipped or that I was drinking or anything like that. And it was, again, just like multiple bottles of vodka during the weekend, wine. All of our like weekend activities were, let's go to the brewery because that is like a family bonding experience and we can take our kid there. And that's just like, that's what we thought was, we loved it. And that was fun. And that was, my husband could still watch me and make sure I only had 1 or 2 beers. Then like, it was all justifiable and all okay. But kind of then fast forwarding to my last day that I drank, we signed up. My daughter, for some reason, wanted to run a 5K at our zoo. So we signed up for a 5K. It was the day before. I promised myself I was going to come home that Friday night before the Saturday run and not drink. And of course I did. And I was hiding it. And 10 out of 10 do not recommend running a 5K with your 7-year-old while you're violently hungover. But I did it and I got through, and it was miserable and it was terrible. And my husband knew I had drank the night before. He could tell. So it was just like this terrible experience for all of us. And they had plans that day after to go do some things with cousins. And my husband looked at me before he left and he's like, if I come home and you are drinking, there's going to be a major problem. And of course, that's what I did. I went to the store. I got 2 bottles of wine because I thought, well, if I drink wine, then it'll be fine. It won't be the vodka. It won't be as hard. Like I'll be totally fine. We live behind a park and I went and got rid of the bottles up there in the park, and they came home and found me on the couch again, kind of almost in that same state of how I was when you took me to the emergency room the time before, the year or so before. And he was done at that point. He was to the point where, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do with you anymore. He called my parents to kind of help navigate the situation. And I don't know what it was about that day, but I knew how serious he was at that point of like, this is not going to work anymore. Like, I don't know what to do with you. And when I looked back at it, I was just like, okay, he can walk. Like if he leaves right now, he's going to walk away with my daughter and I will not have a foot to stand on because I can't even take care of myself right now. I can't figure this out. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I need this alcohol all the time and I don't know what to do. So something that day changed in me. Something that day, I to this day can't explain what it is, but that was almost a come to Jesus moment where I was like, okay, I feel like I am ready to be done with this because I don't have the fight in me anymore to continue to live my life this way. I was like a shell of a person. I was miserable. My marriage was terrible. I was a terrible mother. I hated my life. I was just like in this low point that I had to get to in order to kind of get to the next phase of my life. And I kind of made that decision with myself and that promise to myself that this was the last day that I was going to drink. And that was my last day one. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And the first couple weeks, it was just me white knuckling it and being like, oh, for the love of God, how do I get through this weekend without, caving or whatever it was. And then I finally, a couple weeks into my sobriety, found a group coaching program that I did with Jen Hurst, who I think was just on your podcast not too long ago.
Yes.
So
yes,
I did. Yeah. That's where I started, was one of her group coaching programs, and just getting a foundation for myself, getting some structure, getting some tools for myself, and also getting the community and seeing that there were, going back to our conversation on that, seeing that there were other women who weren't these like crazy people, who were very normal, like moms and functioning, and very normal people who were struggling with the same thing as me. And just building on that and putting that structure into place and going from there, that was my last day one. And that's kind of gotten me, that was the end of my story with alcohol. And I've been able to make it 3.5 years. So here we are today.
So how did
awesome.
you come up with mocktails and marathons? There you go. Sorry, my brain just like turned off for a moment.
Story of my life.
That is a story of my life too.
I got very into fitness when I started. When I stopped drinking, like I walked constantly when I was first starting to get sober. My husband was just like, how many walks are we going to take today? What are we doing? How many do we need to do? So I walked, and then I eventually got into running while I was getting sober. And I started this account after I had finished Jen's program, because I had I didn't know what to do with myself after the program, because there was no, that structure was going away. So I started this account kind of as an accountability for myself, just to an online diet. It was going to be like a faceless account the whole time, but it has evolved since then. And so Mocktails and Marathon had a nice ring to it. There's no big story behind Mocktails and Marathons. That's the name that came to me, and here we are.
I myself, just like you, when I became sober, is like, all this time kind of opens up.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, now what? And just like you, I was like, well, I just started walking
yes.
randomly.
Like, what do I do?
Yeah. And I was on a platform where, and still am today, where the meetings are all online. There's no in-person meetings. So I thought, great, I can two birds, right? I can walk, I can listen to the meeting, and and next thing you know, an hour goes by, and I'm like, well, shit, I feel better. Or if I was feeling, I really didn't get, any cravings or triggers or thing like that. But I thought, well, if I did, this walking was pretty much going to satiate that issue. And I thought that was great. And just like yourself, it kind of led into, well, now what? So I started running, and then it's just, next thing you know, I'm doing 5Ks, 10Ks. And now I got a hip problem, about to have surgery.
Oh, shoot.
Just from years of abuse. But
right?
Yeah. But it's kind of funny, because I hear that story a lot. I've always heard the term, when I got into sobriety, I think it's move a muscle, have a thought, basically when those things start happening. And it's amazing how that works.
Right.
And how that can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting out of your head a little bit, and getting out of your own way to, change. And I think that's a big thing too in sobriety. It's just like, you have all this time and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what I like anymore. I don't even know, like, what do I do? What do I enjoy? Because everything revolves so much around your drinking. And like, that's just, you designed your life that way so that you could keep it in your life and keep it so close to you. And like, walking was an easy entry point of, I had no hobbies. I had no like things that I enjoyed. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll walk. Maybe it'll be good for me. And you're just throwing darts at the wall at that point. Be like, okay,
yeah.
What do I do?
I mean, you're like, my hobby is drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, now what?
Yeah.
And it is. And, we all know like the chemical dependency, right? Like the neuroscience and, how your body becomes dependent on it, and you have to be careful, because a lot of people can have, you can die from stopping drinking. But then there's this other component of like just the habit, right? So it's like smoking cigarettes or anything else. Like, there is the addictive component, but it's also the habit of like this is what I do when I come home, or this is what I do when I get stressed. Or if you're smoking, it's like the hand mouth thing. So I think the fitness too, not only when you get sober, you just become more aware of the things that you're putting into your body. And you're like, I'm doing this because I don't want to feel like shit anymore. Right. But also it keeps you busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, because especially in the beginning, it's hard to just, if you're just sitting doing nothing, I mean, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
You want to sit there and drink. And for whatever reason, you're so right. Like, wine is like the ultimate liar. Like, everybody thinks like, if you drink wine, then it's not really drinking, right? Which wine is like the worst.
It is.
Right?
I mean, wine is like drinking like liquor almost.
Yeah.
Just, it looks fancy and has fancy names. Because,
Right.
Ryan did that too. He's like, oh, I just won't drink beer. And I won't drink like liquor. I'll just drink wine. Because, you can go to wine tasting events and, you can
so classy.
go out to eat. And it's so classy. But we ran into the same thing too, where we would go to kids' birthday parties and there would be like an open bar situation, or, hey, we have beers in this cooler and kid drinks in this cooler. And at our old house, we were known as the Moonshine House because
Mm-hmm.
we'd open our garage and we have like a kid area and another one. And we, being in Tennessee, we would have like the different moonshines and they'd have flavors, and we'd have little like plastic shot glasses. And, the intention behind it is innocent. Like, you're not trying to like be bad. You're trying to let everyone have fun, but it rolls over into something
Yeah.
very, very bad
Yes.
eventually. And especially, we've talked about this too with being a mom. There's this whole mommy wine culture thing. Like, you were talking about putting your wine in a coffee mug. And, I'm sure at some point, if you would have told a group of moms, I think they'd be like, oh, I do that sometimes too.
Wine in
oh
the
my
car
gosh.
line.
Right?
Sometimes it's the only way. Or like, well, be careful, because when I'm at my kid's soccer game or whatever, like, this is mommy's happy
That's
juice,
right.
And again, it's not with ill intent,
Right.
but it's so normalized. Just like, the guys are outside having a beer and the moms are inside, like, drinking wine, and it becomes, you buy into it, right? Like, I
Absolutely.
deserve it. I've earned it. Somehow that just becomes the narrative, right? So especially with like moms and with women, like, there is this like culture and acceptability at some point. And this is not exclusive to us, but it's so true. Like, you don't go to a party and they're like, oh my God, do you want to like go like smoke some crack real fast? But it is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we got a little heroin back here if anybody's interested. Like, oh, let the kids play. But and you talk about like falling asleep on the couch, like, the more we talk about these things and get people to realize it's not just about the alcohol or the substance, it is what you're escaping from. Like, it is the same thing.
100%.
It is the same thing. And we convince ourselves it isn't. Like, you can enjoy your kids, or you can just be pissed off at your kids and be like, you're a little terrorist today.
That's
and
right.
not need the wine to get away
Right?
from it.
Yeah.
Just be like, I don't like you today. I don't like you today.
And that's okay.
And that is okay. Like, listen, I tell people, I'm like, being a parent it's okay to have days where you're like, I hate being a mom today.
Mhm.
Like, I
Yes.
do not want to be a mom today. Okay. That's okay. Like, you don't need to
is
escape
okay.
from
Yeah.
that. Like,
You don't
it
need
is
to numb out from it.
okay.
Yeah.
That's life in general. Like, I have days where I'm like, I hate being a woman today. I hate being a daughter today. I hate being an employee today. I hate being a wife today. Like, that's normal. It's okay. And tomorrow, it's a fleeting, like, tomorrow it'll be different. You don't
Right.
have to escape from it. But when you try to dole it out with alcohol, tomorrow you hate it too, because now I feel like shit.
Mhm.
And what's the only way to come out of that
Yeah.
is I'm going to keep drinking. And it just becomes this. I mean, you talked about y'all coming back from vacation. I remember we took a vacation in North Carolina, just the two of us. And I got so drunk, I was literally vomiting in the Burger King drive-through as he was getting food. And he's like, are you okay? I was like, I think so. And no, I wasn't okay. But we didn't think anything about it.
No.
If anything, we came home, we
No.
laughed
It's a
about
normal
it.
day.
Oh my God. Like,
I
How
have that same
embar-
story, except like Taco
How
Bell bags
embarrassing.
and like,
That's
what are
crazy.
we doing? And yeah, it's just like it was normal. It wasn't like
Yeah.
a crazy experience. I feel like that we had, and that was just
I'm like, and people
what
behind
are
us
we
in
doing?
line were probably like, is that girl seriously just like puking? Like, if I'm not mistaken, as
yeah, I know.
yeah,
My friend did that a few weeks ago.
like
I
as you're
remember
like getting the food,
That's
I'm
right.
like out the door vomiting. Like it's
So
just a normal
Oh,
I forgot all
Saturday.
about that.
Oh my God. Like I felt like I was going to die. I was like, this is the end. I'm dying.
Oh,
And you're
Lord.
just in the driver's seat, just like
Yeah,
eating a
get my
hamburger.
food.
Like, yeah. I mean, and it's funny, but at the same time, I'm like, how did we not realize in those moments
Something
that
was
like,
wrong.
maybe this isn't so normal, but you don't.
You look back at them now and you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But yes, in that moment, it was normal. And especially if there's like, you know, because my husband was the same way too. And it was just like, that was our life. And so when you've got the two of you doing it together, it's just like, not even thought twice about.
Part of the routine, it seems like.
Exactly. You look back on it and laugh, like you said. And no, looking back, I'm like, God, what the hell were we doing? But live and learn.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to go back to, you know, you talked about when you stopped, you said you kind of didn't know who you were, right? So what kind of, you know, was there a shift in like, you know, your relationships? Obviously you're still with your husband, so that was a good shift. But like, you know, with your friendships and stuff like that, or your mom groups, you know, do you see any type of shift in that when you decided to eliminate alcohol?
Yeah. So with my husband, yes, I'll start there. A big shift as far as it took a long time to build that trust back. It took a long time to kind of navigate like who we were, because like I said, like drinking was like date nights, you drank, vacations, you drank. We loved little dive bars. We loved like going and experiencing that Saturdays and Sundays. And like, that was what our whole relationship was built upon. So we had to like strip it down and go back to, oh my God, what do we do together? What do these weekends look
that
like?
was us.
Yeah. And it's hard. And it's like, we had to make it fun again. We had to figure out how to date again. We had to like do some of that stuff for the first time sober. And I think a big thing for us too was like, I always waited till I had a couple drinks in me to have like serious conversations too, as far as like hard conversations, because I needed that liquid courage. So even some of like those big things, we had to go back to basics on things like that. And that trust took a long time to build. And, you know, towards the end of my drinking, there was a lot of hiding and a lot of sneaking and a lot of just not being honest about anything. And so that was, I think, the biggest hurdle to get over was him believing that I was telling him the truth on anything. And we had one day where, you know, I showed him where all of my empty bottles were, and we went through and picked up everything and threw it all away. And I was like, okay, this was actually what I was drinking. Like, he knew I had a drinking problem. I don't think anyone had any idea how much I was actually consuming. And it like finally started to make sense, like why I was passing out on the couch at 12 o'clock, because I was drinking shots of vodka every morning. And so just being open about that and being honest about what I was doing and what I was feeling. And even when I was having, I think because he didn't have that addictive side of his brain, like he didn't understand why it was so hard for me to quit and why it was so, when a craving hit, like why I got crabby and why it was so hard to get through that craving. So being open and honest about like, okay, I'm having a craving now, I'm going to go for a walk, or I need to talk to you about this, because otherwise I might say that I need to go to the grocery store and go get, wine or something. So being very honest brought back that trust a little bit. And yes, we got to a point where we are, our marriage is night and day from what it was 3.5 years ago. And he got to a point too where he stopped drinking too. And I think he lost me as a drinking partner. So that was, took away some of it, but he's just like, he saw the benefits of it too. So I think it's important to realize kind of those ripple effects as well. As far as like friendships go though, and like mom groups go, yeah, there were some friendships that I lost. Some were based solely just on that drinking. And I lost some of that commonality with people that I had. So it made sense to kind of pull away from it at that point. but there are some that like I had an open conversation with and was open. And that took a lot of time for me to get to a place where I was like open enough to have a conversation with friends about this, that I'm still great friends with and that we have conversations about it with now. So yes, I think I get this question a lot, like what happens socially to you when you quit drinking? And I think you find who your people are. I think you find what you enjoy. And I think that's a big thing too. Like you might not enjoy going out to, bars and dinners and all of these things anymore. And I think a big thing for me, like with my daughter's in 5th grade. And so we've got like fundraisers at school and stuff. Like I don't enjoy all of those things. I don't actually like making a ton of small talk with big groups of people. I love like one-on-one things, but I don't want to be in this massive room having to like make small talk and things like that. So I think you like have the space to figure out what you actually like and what you want to do. And that early sobriety is just kind of like that exploration period. But I think, as we were talking about mommy wine culture and things like that, like I think that's a big deterrent for moms too, is just like there is that, okay, I've got stuff in, a mixed drink in my Stanley or wine in my Stanley at baseball games or at, different sporting events and things like that. And I think just that want to fit in with other moms is a big deterrent because alcohol is so involved in all of those things. And that was something that scared the crap out of me of like, oh my gosh, if I come out and talk about like the fact that I had a drinking problem, like, is this going to punish my daughter somehow? Because all of a sudden, like, I'll be seen as this mom who can't handle her booze or anything like that. So there's things you have to navigate and there's things that you have to figure out. And I will say I lost some friends, but I also got stronger friendships with certain friends. And I've also brought in a whole new group of community that like have become some of my best friends too, just through the sober journey that I've met kind of throughout this process. And, so it's a different dynamic, but as is life, right?
I think that's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is, you may lose like a handful of friends or you may lose more now, you may lose all your friends, but what you pick up in community way outweighs what you've lost. Cause you may have lost like a drinking buddy or two or something like that. Yeah. But you
kind of find out who your real friends are too, exactly. Because like, my best friend, who's been my best friend forever, she still drinks, but she was never really a super heavy drinker. But nothing was ever phased. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like nothing changed, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to not really go off topic, but I'm going to circle around to something because when you were saying it, it just made me giggle. You were talking about showing your husband like all of your empty bottles. And it made me think of like, it's like Mary Poppins must have been a recovered alcoholic, right? Because when he started bringing all of the bottles down, it is like Mary Poppins pulling shit out of her bag.
I love this analogy.
I was like, what? Like, where's this coming from? He'd like, bring it down, throw it out, bring it down, throw it out. I mean, and there aren't too many hidey holes in our house. I was like, did you have these shoved up your ass? Like, where are these coming from? Like, what is happening? I'm like, are you done? And he's like, no, I still have a few more. But I never saw where they were coming from. And at a certain point, I was like, I'm not sure that I want to know. It was a little entertaining. So yeah, it makes me think of Mary Poppins. Like, are you going to bring a donkey down? That's like, what's happening? What's going on around here?
We got real creative in where we hid those bottles.
Listen, I will say that, like, the one thing about drinking is it does give you a very creative mind because of the mental gymnastics that you have to do in order to hide these things.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I'm talking about how creative you get. I'm currently reading a book, Dopamine Nation.
Oh yeah.
And there's a story in there that I related to because it was nuts. I'll tell it real quick, but it's about this husband who was hiding drinks from his spouse, and they found out about it. And she still drank, so she had a bottle of wine and was leaving for the weekend, and she locked it in a filing cabinet. So he told him he couldn't go anywhere. He didn't have money to buy booze or whatever. All he concentrated on this whole weekend was getting in there and drinking this wine that was in the file cabinet. He could open the door enough just to get like this little crack. He would go into his, and this is like the mind of a bad alcoholic, right? go into his toolbox and get all these tools just to try to break this file cabinet open without her knowing about it. But he couldn't figure it out. And then all of a sudden it dawned on him, if I could just take the cork out. So he got some pliers, was able to do that, and then got a straw and put it in there just to get into this little crack. I'm thinking, and it's funny is because that's the way I used to think. But you hear somebody else say it, and you're like, holy shit, could you imagine the amount of time and hula hoops you had to jump through just to get to that point? I'm like, fuck.
It's funny.
Talk about resilience.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you said that too, because like there is a difference in like an addict mind. So like I'm kind of in the same position as your husband. So I quit drinking 2 years ago, but by all accounts, I was a moderator. Like at any point in my life, if somebody would have said, you could never have a sip of alcohol again, I would have been like, okay. Like I didn't even realize that I'd been 6 months sober until he said something. But you know, that addict mindset, it stays with you. Like, I think that's another thing too, is it doesn't go away, right? Like it really does stick with you. And so people think that, oh, if I get better, then like there are still things you have to keep in check. For example, and I don't even know that I have told you that I noticed this, and this is nothing bad. Like this is just something I took mental inventory of. So we went to Florida for spring break. And on our way out of Universal Studios, we're like, oh, let's grab a coffee. So I was like, that sounds great. You know, evening coffee. So he gets us 2 coffees and they're lattes and they're supposed to be vanilla lattes, but they forgot to put the vanilla in there. Right. And so he's drinking it and, you know, he's irritated. He's like, man, that sucks, whatever. And he's drinking it. And I took a sip and I'm like, and I threw mine away. And he goes, why did you throw that away? I said, because it doesn't taste good. I'm not going to drink it. He goes, it's still coffee. And I looked at him and I said, I don't just drink things for the effect, Ryan. Like they actually have to taste good. And he was just like, you know, and just kept like walking. But again,
what
like,
a concept.
Yeah,
that's right.
What a concept. And again, that's like completely harmless, right? Like nothing. But I don't even think in that moment you realize like here's the difference.
When you used to drink. Yeah.
Like, here's the difference. You got a coffee. I don't like the way it tastes. I'm going to throw it away. I mean, I hate to be wasteful, but at the same time, like,
totally,
you're not going to drink it.
I'm not going to drink it. You're over here going like guzzling yours, hating every minute of it. And you're like, but it's coffee. And I'm like, right.
There you go.
Right.
You tell that story. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Ryan, you tell that story about the file cabinet, and we have a bar in our basement, and like there was liquor under. We don't have liquor there anymore, but like as I was trying to process all of this, my husband put like a actual like lock and key on the liquor cabinet, so I couldn't get into it. But I noticed that if you like jimmy it open a little bit, I could get my hand down in there to pull something out. It got to the point where like I had done that so many times that the cabinet came off of the hinges, and I am not very handy. So all of a sudden the cabinet's wide open, and I have to explain to my husband like, I was trying to sneak alcohol and now the cabinet's broken. And so that was a whole nother thing. But yes, you justify so much in your head to be able to have that drink and go through, go to so many different lengths to be able to like get that alcohol. And it's just, yes, again, looking back at it, hindsight's 2020, and you're like, what was I thinking? But it seemed perfectly logical.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with me when I quit. You know, I said I was quitting beer, and I was like, well, I knew she enjoyed wine, so I was like, well, let's enjoy wine, because I'm thinking, here's my end. This is it. But the amount of thought that went into that, it's just, I don't know how many days I lost just thinking, how in the hell am I going to start drinking alcohol again? It's just, it's mind blowing what we've gone through to do that.
And even after you quit, right? Like, so he used to be a big whiskey and bourbon drinker, and also like collector. Like he would buy expensive or old ones, or people would gift them, and so he would keep them, and they were never opened, right? And so he got rid of all the alcohol in the house except for the expensive bourbons. And so he's like, well, I'm going to sell them. And I worked with a girl, and she was like, oh, I know somebody. And that's what he does. Like he buys like vintage whiskeys, and he pays like really good money for them, and he'll either keep them or sell them or whatever. And so I was like, great. She's like, he'll probably just buy them all from you for like one price and just be done with them. Didn't think anything about it. So I come home and I'm like, oh my gosh, you remember, I told you about this girl and her friend gave, like, I wrote this down to have a quote for each bottle individually or just these or like the whole shebang. He got so mad. And he had already quit drinking at this point. Like he was already doing the meetings, but it was just the simple like tether to that thing. And
that
then
was like the last thing that I had.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know, a couple months later, he obviously sells it. Like we haven't had alcohol in our house in a while. And he sat me down and he was like, hey, I'm really sorry for being an asshole about the liquor. Like at the time I didn't realize it, but like it was almost like, even though I wasn't drinking, it was like you were trying to take that last thing away. And I got very protective and I didn't even if you had told me before that, that's how I was going to react, I would have been like, no, like I'm not drinking anymore. But he was like, it shocked me as much as it shocked you. So it's like, even when you decide to quit, there are still things that you have to let go of. And he was like, I'm really sorry. Like I was a really big dick about that, but it wasn't you, it was me. And it shocked me too. So like little things like that I observe, or like the coffee thing. Again, it doesn't have to be something that's harmful, but you know, you keep these things in check with yourself all the time, right? Like even when you think you're comfortable and you're 3 years sober, you're 5 years sober, there are little things like you still have to check in with yourself. Like with his running we joke about him needing a hip replacement, but like he only recently quit running and he was told a while ago he needed a hip replacement. And I'm
like a week ago,
you know, like, do you ever do anything just normal?
I whole ass it.
No, I do it to the extreme.
I think too, you like, as somebody, I relied on alcohol for everything. Like good day, I had alcohol, bad day, I had alcohol, celebrations. You just rely on it so much. And it's such like a huge part of your life. So when all of a sudden it's like taken away and you can't do it anymore, it's like this big piece of you is missing. And it sounds so like weird to compare it to like a relationship or something, but alcohol was such a huge part of my life, such a huge part of like so many great parts of my life and so many great moments in my life. And I felt like it was the glue that kind of held everything together. So I hear it when you say like, okay, yeah, you're taking away that last little piece of what that alcohol is. And it's almost like you almost have to go through this grief process and losing.
You're like, I don't want to drink it, but like knowing that it's in the next room. It's like, you know, it was like when I weaned Lily from breastfeeding, or like you take a bottle away from a baby, you know, they're always rooting for that nipple, but you're like, it's empty. It's empty.
Nothing there.
There's nothing there. And I say that as a joke, but there is an infancy that you go through, you know, with mine, it wasn't so much alcohol. It's more mental health stuff, but like, I did the same thing when I first started therapy and getting diagnosed with all these different things. Like, I've talked about this before, so I'll touch on it. But like, I had blonde hair forever. I dyed my hair blonde since I was like 13. I literally went back to my natural color and like started questioning like who I was, what I liked. I mean, like you have to like get to know yourself again. So, you know, we joke about it being like a bottle, but it is like you really do kind of go through a toddlerhood. Yeah. Not in the intellectual way, but in the, I have to learn how to walk again without this. Like I have to learn how to navigate.
Go through life
Our best memories are from when we were drinking. I mean, we've created great ones, but like we met at a bar.
That's right.
Like I really, and it takes a while to get there, but like you can still hold those awesome memories and be like, gosh, that was a great trip. You remember going on that wine tasting and having that bottle and doing this, and also understanding that that was a moment that was great, but the alcohol part of it, that one moment with that alcohol was good. Like it's not everything, you know, it's hard to get to that balance.
It is hard to get to, getting to that balance and like being able to differentiate, like, did alcohol really enhance it that much? Yeah,
exactly.
It seemed like fun at the time. Like it was
the moment. It was spending time together and, you know, and enjoying each other's space and sharing something. It wasn't the alcohol. That just happened to be what we were doing. Yes. But we could have been doing anything.
Yeah. And that takes a long time to be like, okay, but alcohol was in every situation. So every situation was fun and every situation was great. And you think it's because of the alcohol, but like take a step back.
We could have been finger painting.
Yeah.
It could have been finger painting.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
Well, Kristen, but before we get to the last question that we ask all our guests, if you could tell us a little bit about, I know you said you have kind of like a beginner's
Yeah,
program.
where can everybody find
if
everything?
If you could tell us where we can find it and give us maybe a nugget or two on that, someone that's kind of, maybe questioning their relationship with alcohol.
For sure. So all of my coaching stuff is available on mocktailsandmarathons.com. And this starter program is just a 31-day email program where you get emails every day, but each one of those comes with a worksheet so that you're able to kind of evaluate where you're at specifically. A toolkit or figuring out your triggers. We go through a full day of figuring out your triggers. Like why are you drinking? What do you want alcohol to give you? What do you expect like to come out from it? And how do you kind of pull those out? Because not everybody knows why they're drinking in the first place either. And some of that is just that exploration of why do I drink every night at this time? Or what is alcohol enhancing for me? So just really taking a step back and walking through step by step some of those very basic things. Within that, there is a Facebook community that you can come, kind of join a community aspect of things if you'd like to participate in that. But it also can be totally like anonymous, very beginner if you aren't quite ready. Because believe me, there was a time where I was like, I can figure this out on my own. I don't need any help. Like, it didn't serve me well. But like, I had a phase where I wanted to do it on my own. I'm stubborn. I just thought that I could figure it out. So this is a stepping stone to get to that point. And then I've got, different weeks of one-on-one coaching that I do, and then different group coaching programs as well. Just with the kind of explanations on mocktailsandmarathons.com.
Love it.
Well, it's that time. So
here we
the
go.
question we ask all our guests, you got to go back to your drinking days and give us an old, good, funny old drunk story.
Okay.
And if it involves pee, it's even better.
Okay. I don't have one that involves pee because thank God I was not somebody that went that. But this is one of me and my husband. My sister got married, and I had the time of my life. Like,
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. Thank you. We decided that would be a great idea to reenact that at my sister's wedding.
You mean like the lift?
The lift part. My husband's like a pretty buff guy, so I was like, oh yeah, totally fine. Like, no big deal. We had both been. Sister's wedding, like before the wedding, we drank during this was at the dance part of the wedding. Did the full run, did the full enactment. He totally dropped me, totally like landed on the floor in front of all of the guests. Like this was peak Kristen and Jake moment of just like not functioning with alcohol. And we thought we were going to nail this. And
did you have a dress on? Like were the panties showing? Like I need the whole thing.
Long dress. Thank God it was long. So God knows, I don't know what people saw. I have no idea.
Were you even wearing panties?
And that's a great question. I woke up the next day with bruises down the side of my body, and just like, oh my God, black and blue. Because I was fully committed. I was like a star running over there, and I'm going to just blame it on him and say that he didn't nail the lift and getting me up. But
yeah, it is his fault. Is there a video? Was somebody videoing this? Did they have
I'm sure there has to be a video somewhere.
So your bare ass on the Florida wedding may be on the internet somewhere, is what you're saying.
God, it could be.
It's like I always say, every time you have a plan, it never goes to plan. It never, ever goes to plan.
So if anybody knows Kristen Beckett and you happen to be at her sister's wedding and you were taking a video, I require that video immediately, please.
Or just delete it because
look, just send a copy to me and then I will delete it.
Then we'll delete
after I watch it because I want to see it.
Okay. It's so funny because we have had a couple guests that have told stories and they've kind of like forgotten about it. And they're like, oh, I actually have a picture of that, and they've sent it to us. And it's phenomenal. I gotta love it.
Oh my gosh.
They're great.
The things we think we can do while we're drinking.
That's right.
That is almost up there.
We build it up in our mind.
With Ryan and I taking a cruise and being at a silent dance club. And 1 minute he is standing and the next minute he literally, like, no bending of the body, no slow motion, just on the dance floor, like literally standing and then
like a turtle
down.
on my back.
Like, I don't know how he didn't like hit his head and get a concussion. Yeah.
Oh no.
There was no bending. It wasn't like a bending of the knees. He didn't trip. It was like one minute he was standing and the next minute he was on the floor.
Plop.
And I did not help him up. I'm the worst. I was like, you can stay there for the rest of your life, sir.
Some guy randomly helped me out, and then I met him in the casino the next night.
And he was just as drunk as he was, and then proceeds to tell us a story about how he gets locked out of his room. His wife goes to sleep, and he's naked, so he like falls asleep in the hallway, and somebody comes by and has to like be like, "Sir, you can't sleep naked in the hallway." So, yeah, it's everybody.
The shit
everybody.
we've done.
It is everybody, right?
It's everybody. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I needed that laugh.
So there you go. Remember when we started this by saying there are millions of people out there, right? Literally millions. There you go.
Well, Kristen, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
And telling us your story. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to do it again.
That's right. We'll talk to you soon, Kristen. Thank you.
Soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to get
Boom.
notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.